Got ich Nui Irwin Tutters Ruiz, in Aj, El Monte, California. Good day, everybody. My name is Erwin Tucker Reese, and I'm going to do a drawing tutorial. It's an observational drawing from life, a still life of a pumpkin. And let's begin. So I have my setup here. I got my coffee. And this is a more casual approach than I would normally do, right? So what I mean is, if it's a more of a formal or formal drawing or painting, I would have my easel. But this is the way I usually draw in the morning, so I don't have to have a crazy setup. But either way, it's a good idea to try to set up your canvas or your paper to be perfectly vertical, if that makes sense. Drawing too much at an angle, while it's oftentimes more comfortable, it distorts the image. And especially if you plan to hang it on the wall, you don't want to draw it like this at an angle so that it looks best at an angle, because once you hang it on the wall, it's going to be distorted, right? So now let's begin with the actual drawing. I'm going to be using color pencil, some ballpoint pen, ink, and ink. And I'm going for proportionally accurate, right? But I'm not going for photorealism, so just keep that in mind, right? I'm drawing a drawing that is proportionally accurate, but still looks like a drawing. So let's begin. Actually, let's scoot back a little bit. All right, and today is the 27th, if I'm not mistaken, November 2024, right? 26. My apologies. So normally what I do, right, everyone has their own process. So I usually start off with a gesture, usually with a circle. Depends on the object, depends on what I'm drawing, but in this case, and before you even draw the gesture, maybe you want to take into consideration the composition, right? Depending on if this is kind of something that you want to hang, or you want it to be the center attention. In this case, it's I definitely gotta take into consideration composition before I do my gesture, because I want everything to fit on the page comfortably. I don't want it to be too packed, too close to the edge. So a gesture drawing is kind of almost like a rough draft, you can say. So we're gonna draw super loose. We're not too worried about accuracy. We just want the spirit, the kind of the soul of the object. It can be an abstraction, and we're gonna tighten everything up later. But for now, we're gonna keep it super loose, and everything is subject to change. Right. So not sure how well it can be seen, and as I check the camera, it cannot be seen at all. So I'm gonna have to darken up this gesture drawing. Now, normally I wouldn't go this dark, but for the sake of it being visible on the camera, I'm gonna go a lot darker than I normally would, a lot faster, right? And even in my gesture drawing, I kind of go into value pretty quickly, which, you know, some people wouldn't recommend, but I do. And again, super loose, super loose. We can always fix things later. And at some point, I am going to do some measuring, but maybe not yet. So I'm kind of combining the gesture and composition phase of the drawing. Okay, so now I'm checking the camera and that looks more visible, so that is good. And I apologize about the low resolution, guys. You know, I'm working with what I got. If these videos have a good reaction, get some views, then, you know, I'll probably invest into some better equipment, have a better setup, even get a GoPro so we can get like a real nice perspective on what I'm working on and what I see, the object that I see. So I kind of got the gesture and the composition laid out. But again, remember, there's going to be tweaking. And at this point, I'm going to start checking things, maybe measuring. But something I like to do is really establish my shadow mask and my light mask. So I set up this lamp on the right because there's no sun out today, so there's no real strong light source. So without the lamp, everything just kind of is there's light from everywhere, right? But with this lamp, now there's a definite shadow side and light side. So at the very least, you wanna do a graphic kind of drawing, right? With one side being the dark and another side being the light. So I'm establishing my darks, which is on the left side of the paper, and the light side is right over here. Sometimes I might even lightly do a circle where I see the highlight of this, where the light is hitting the strongest. So at this point, I'm really gonna start cementing some things in. So I really want to make sure that everything is correct, and probably want to measure a little bit. You know, I want to measure too much because I don't want to stiffen up my drawing. And so ideally, I would use some skewers, but they slipped my mind. I don't have any skewers on me at the moment, so I'm just gonna use my pencil and compare the length of the stem, the height to the body, right? And they honestly seem about the same length, but the body's gonna be maybe just a quarter of the stem longer. So we gotta make sure that the body is longer than the stem, and that's about right. Seems about right, not too off. Maybe measure the width. Like that. Okay. Sometimes I'll create these lines to see where things line up. For example, the end of the stem out here, line where it ends on the pumpkin. So if it ends, let's say, past the pumpkin, I could do this imaginary line, but in this case, it doesn't. Like, and it's actually not the easiest thing to explain and draw. So I think I might have to go into focus mode and not talk so much. But I will get back to the commentary when I feel the time is right.